Welcome to the Sophia Chang Show. Is it harder to make friends now? It's a resounding yes. I know that. Everybody's going to say, of course it is. Some people ask, is it because of the way the culture is right now? Is it just that it gets harder to make friends as you get older? I am going to argue that it's not actually harder, that may be a fallacy. In any case, whether or not it is due to one factor or another, the bottom line is the difficulty in making friendships is entirely created by you. And I have distilled it down to 3 reasons why that is, which means that's also 3 things that we can do to make it not so hard. And I've been thinking a lot about this because this is my biggest pain point. And apparently it is yours as well, according to popular opinion. It's 3 a.m. right now, and my insomnia has been spectacularly bad for quite some time right now. I have a lot of major stressors going on, the upcoming chemo, the MRIs I need to hurry and get done before that. There's just a lot going on. So in order to keep myself from losing my shit and leaving a bunch of crying messages to my best friend, I downloaded this app that I stopped using like 3 years ago that employs CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy interventions to deal with depression and anxiety and all that kind of stuff. CBT, I have mixed feelings about this. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it doesn't work for trauma and PTSD very well. But it seems to have a proven track record for depression, anxiety. And I knew at that moment that I needed to reframe my thinking. I was going to go down a really bad spiral really fast. So I re-downloaded the app and did some of the thought exercises, tracked my mood, all that good stuff. And it did help. And then I started browsing these message boards that they have for different topics. Of course, I was reading the insomnia one. And then I started just reading general ones. And I was blown away. Well, number one, I felt a lot less alone because everybody was going through what I went through. It's fantastic. We all are hating our lives. We hate that we overthink. We hate that our brain goes nuts, doesn't let us sleep. We feel like there's like this fight that our body has, and we feel like failures. It's awesome. We're all living in the suck right now. But the one thing that I was not expecting was this repeating undercurrent, this repeating theme of everyone saying, I have no friends. It's impossible to find friends. I keep losing my friends. To a lesser extent, there's the super anxious ones who are like, I want to make friends, but then I freak out. So this theme of friendship and the challenge of finding it in this fragmented society right now kept coming up. And I was just like, oh my God, I need to talk about this. So here I am. It's 3 a.m. Let's do this night together. All right. Number 1, the reason why friendship seems really difficult right now is because you don't know yourself. On these same message boards that I was browsing about an hour ago, somebody posed this question that I'm still mulling over the answer to. And the question was, what 3 things do you want to be known for? I'm going to give you a chance to answer that yourself. So think upon that. Now, people were writing things like, I want to be helpful and supportive of people. You freaking people-pleasing generation. Jesus Christ, you have your own hobbies or what? Okay, Hufflepuff. I was just like reading this and I was just like, oh my God, you guys have no identity. Like, there's nothing wrong with kindness, compassion, that kind of stuff. But that's what we call basic humanity. like we don't need to be known for that, because that's what being human is. Being known means, what is your individuality? And I understand my Gen X roommate, his company does lots and lots of market research on how to get money from you young people. Ha 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 ha. It's so evil, right? I know. Capitalism, it's so bad. Guess what? The capitalism that you guys decry is what is buying you your iPhone. Sorry to break it to you. A little bit of reality here. So all the market research does show that, yeah, everybody's in a group think. It's a herd. I even see this on Tumblr a lot. This is how I like keep up with the young people. I'm like the grandmother of Tumblr, and people are actually putting posts that say, since I have no opinion, I'm just going to reblog this. Like, are you proud of having no opinion of your own? Are you proud of having no identity? It's a horrible thing, but that is actually the number one. That's kind of the foundational reason why friendships are difficult. You don't know yourself. You don't know your values. You don't know what it is that you want. Now, I understand you're like, so I'm 20 years old. How am I supposed to know? Well, you guess what? I had really crazy strong values at 20. Did they change at 30? 100%. Are they going to change this year at 40? Oh, you bet your ass. I just want to make sure that my IRA is completely stocked, because I'm on the second half of my life soon. Okay. All right. So yeah, your values change. The things that are important to you change, but you have to know what that is for that given moment. I was a very, very mouthy, opinionated person. Shockers, right? I don't know what's going on, but I can't seem to find any extroverts anymore. Like, everybody's like, I'm an introvert. I'm like, you can't all be introverts. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why am I the only extrovert left on earth, you know? So yeah, if you are not one who is prone to speak out about yourself and put your own opinions out there, you are going to have difficulty making friendships, because a lot of that comes in knowing who you are. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, real life, painful lessons that I had to go through. One of the biggest hurdles that I have had to overcome as apparently the only extrovert on earth is the fact that I am always the one reaching out more than they are reciprocating. And that's really exhausting. That burden of having to be the person to carry the friendship, to always be the one that sends the message, makes the phone call, sets up the next video meeting, asks the person to lunch, whatever it is, that's exhausting. It's exhausting, and it makes me feel completely unwanted. It makes me feel like the other person is snotty and just we have to go to them. Or just in general, it makes us feel as if we just don't matter that much to that person. And I have had to learn that not everybody is as excited about making friends as I am. Like, I'm all over it. I don't have any family, zero. And so friendships are my primary source of any kind of human relationship. They are very important to me, but I know that they're not that important to other people. So I have had to learn to pull back and allow the other person to come to me, and that will give me the clearest indication of how much of a friend they actually think I am, how much they actually want to put into the friendship, rather than me just putting in and ending up resentful. And it was a very sobering change that I had to make, so my value there that I had to define was, I don't wish to be in unequal friendships any longer. I no longer wish to always have to be the one to reach out. I am looking for reciprocity. This was a value I had to define literally like in the last 2 years, okay? So look how damn old I am. According to you guys, I'm old. Not according to 60-year-olds, okay? But I know I'm old to you guys. And I still had to learn this, and I still had to put this into practice. It was really, really difficult because I'm lonely. I'm extremely social. I want to reach out to somebody. And for me, I can talk to the same person every day, all day long. Whereas I know that's not the case for everybody. If you're my friend, I'm happy to send you a message, talk on the phone, pick up the phone, call you, like talk to you every single day. So I had to learn to pull that back. And I discovered that my friends don't actually want to talk to me. So they will, I think it took one of them 3 months to finally be like, oh my God, I've been so busy. Remember, I can make fun of my friends because nobody listens to my podcast, right? That's the benefit. So nobody knows that I'm talking about them. So finally, they'll come crawling back with some excuse. I've been so busy. I've been so busy. What? Sitting at home, not going out? Or are you one of those assholes that are still socializing when you shouldn't and we're on lockdown? Either way, that sucks. 3 a.m. podcasts are the best. This is the most honest you'll ever see me. But that is my very personal example that I'm sharing with the entire freaking world of defining a value so that I can have a better quality of a friendship. I can have the kind of friendship that I want that has reciprocity, even if that means I only talk to this person every 3 months because that is the amount of effort they're willing to put in, right? Then, okay, that's the amount of effort I put in as well. I guess we weren't as good friends as I thought. Sobering? Yes. Does it hurt? Very much so. Acceptance. Moving on. The second reason why friendships seem to be difficult or you seem to have trouble making friends is you are unwilling to be vulnerable or to be honest, at least to yourself, to be authentic to others and honest to yourself. There's kind of a difference between truth and authenticity. Truth is very overrated. Nobody wants to hear it. Okay, if you love Trump, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your truth. You can have your truth, but please have it over there, right? And, you don't want to tell your friend that she doesn't look so good because that you're an asshole if you do that. So truth is really overrated. Authenticity is a different thing. You can be authentic. You don't need to tell your friend she doesn't look good, but you can authentically think that, and you can authentically say, oh, there may be a better color choice of sweater you could wear if she wants your opinion. Usually people don't really want your opinion, so, keep that to yourself. It's one thing to have a value. It's another thing to have an opinion. Opinions, somebody once said to me, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. So we're not talking about opinions here. We're talking about sharing your heart, sharing your vulnerability, speaking about your feelings, the things that have gone on in your life, how that impacts you, the difficulties that you're going through, the struggles that you have. It's great to keep things light and talk about the fun things and TV shows. I have one friend where, we go into deep stuff, but we invariably end up on television shows, right? There seems to be kind of a threshold of how much depth this person is able to go to, and I have to respect that, right? So once we start talking about Netflix, that's great. I can talk movies, Hulu all day long, but there's a vulnerability that will actually promote a lasting friendship that isn't just about talking about what you watched on TV. So if you're unwilling to be vulnerable, if that's something that, if your fear of that is greater than your need for human connection, then you are going to have to accept that you will have a hard time making friends and that's on you. That's it. That's on you. Look, I have anxiety like crazy. I have CPTSD. I have gone through bouts of depression, suicidal ideation, you name it, I've gone through it. And I understand, I massive panic attacks, like you wouldn't even believe. I understand anxiety, but that's still on me, right? I didn't give it to myself. I didn't create it. I do have a disease that actually causes a lot of anxiety and depression, so that kind of sucks because that's a little bit out of my control, but it's still on me. It's still on me to deal with that and to overcome that, or to just work with it and do what I need to do so that I can still have meaningful relationships, not in spite of, but because of it. A lot of my most meaningful ones are because I share these horrible experiences and struggles very, very openly with my friends. The final reason you have difficulty making friends or maintaining friends is you're unwilling to do what it takes to keep a friendship or to make a friendship. This is the biggest one. You're simply unwilling to do what it takes, because it takes work. It's the same for people who think that you're just going to marry your soulmate and everything will be great. I know your generation doesn't want to marry anymore, but back in my day, that's what we thought. You just got to find the right person. But no, it's just straight up commitment. Like, that's what the Chinese have always known. The Chinese are great at having long, drawn out, horrible, tempestuous relationships that keep going. Okay. There is something to be said about commitment, man. They take it far. And I admire them for that, because I admire my people for that, because it instilled in me a sense of loyalty and commitment and not giving up and pushing through when things are rough and not being like, oh, it's too hard, F it, So one of the things that you have to be willing to do in order to make and keep a friendship is saying yes more than no. And I know that sounds very trite. Everybody says that. Jim Carrey says that, right? It's an improv mainstay. It's a yes and instead of a no or a but, right? It's a yes and. You're always saying yes. But what I mean in this case, now saying yes has a different meaning today than it does in the past. In my 20s, I would just get into cars with people I literally just met at like a poetry workshop. And we would we'd cruise around all night. It was amazing. Like, I ended up reading my poetry at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe down in, out back when I was living in New York still. And then we all went to this person's house where she like cooked us a bunch of quesadillas. She was Asian, by the way, she's like, her boyfriend was, I think, Puerto Rican. And it was like the sun came out and then drove us all home. It was amazing. I just met these people, right? It was like I had the most amazing night. Or out in LA when I was like first in Hollywood, I met this kid in Borders. We just started talking. Back then, guys still hit on girls. It was amazing. God, I miss the days when guys still hit on girls. And he just came up to me and started talking to me. And none of my radar went off. I'm a New York City kid. Like, I don't know. I can kind of tell when somebody's sketchy and when somebody's not. He didn't seem sketchy at all. So we went to see The Ring. It was horrifying. I couldn't sleep for like a week. Went to eat some food, talked a bunch. He told me some honest things about me. Like, he's like, I feel like you've got this chip on your shoulder. And at the time, I really, really did. I really did. So it was kind of interesting, right? It was very honest talk. And it was all because I said, yeah, sure, I'll get in your car and let's go see a movie and go have some food. Don't do that anymore because I think times are a little different. But there are still safe equivalents to doing that. Something as simple as like, I did this crazy Tumblr experiment. I say crazy because on Tumblr, it's like, you're not supposed to make real friends, but I did. I got the numbers. How about them apples? God, you're all too young to know that. If you know what movie I'm talking about, you should contact me because we can be friends. I put out a post and I was like, I've been spending too much time on Tumblr. I'm actually a digital minimalist, and I would rather see your faces, hear your voices. So if you guys want to have a phone call, if you guys want to be real friends, IRL, if you want to hop on the video and let's actually hang out, not an asynchronous text-based conversation, just DM me. I'll give you my digits. I did not say digits, okay? I'm not like from the 80s. And Zero people responded. Zero. However, why do I have people from Tumblr? If you talk to them one-on-one and say it, they will more likely than not say, okay. And so, somebody was willing to put herself out there, and she continuously messaged me, and she messaged me a couple times on Tumblr, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I owe you an audio message. I can't type. I have certain disabilities that make it difficult for me to have a text-based conversation, but I really want to talk to you. And so then she tried me on Discord, and I was just like, and she was like, oh, I'm trying to get off Tumblr, let me get off Tumblr since you don't want to talk on there. Let me get on Discord. And I was just like, oh man, I'm really glad that you contacted me. I don't go on Discord that much. I run a Discord for Harry Potter Spoonies. That's about it. But I'm not on there all the time. I've got a moderator who's a total young millennial, and she's on there all the time. And I gave her my email. I'm like, here's my email. If you want to be real friends, I would love to. I would adore it. I would love to talk to you. And she did. She emailed me right away. She's like, it took her a while to think of what to say. And she emailed me, and I was just like, she was like, how do you want to do this? How do you usually talk to people? I was like, dude, I'm going to marry this girl because this is amazing. Like, nobody reaches out, right? She said yes to all of my entreaties, and I said yes back, and we didn't fuck around. We weren't like, oh, I'm going to wait a day. She immediately was like, yeah, how do you want to do this? And I'm like, well, do you have this platform or this platform? Those are the two I use. She's like, yeah, I do have it. I gave her my number, and I was like, I'm going to respond to your amazing emails, as soon as I get a hold of you. She video called me like 5 minutes later from Europe. Okay, this wasn't even in the country. And I was like, oh my God, I was about to get in the car to get my MRI. And I was like, damn, I got to take this call because this is so cool. Somebody's video calling me. So I was like, hold on. I ran to my room, and I was like, oh my God, look at your amazing face. I got to go get an MRI. I don't know who says this at like 7 p.m. And she's like, no worries. So I was like, yeah, let me call you back. Let me try to find you when I can. That's a saying yes success story. Okay. That was because this person was willing to do what it took. She said yes to my invitation. She tracked me down in every way that she possibly could until she found the one that worked for me. I picked up as soon as she called, like, even though I was like, had to go to the hospital, but I was just so excited. And so, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Will this become a real friendship? Is this going to fizzle out? I don't know. But at least we got the ball rolling because we were willing to do what it took. So to recap, the bottom line is that we have become as a culture so unbearably focused on what other people are thinking. This is a huge detriment. It's so disrespectful to ourselves. And I'm finding the newer generations are lacking in self-confidence so much so. And I'm speaking as somebody who had to struggle with this for years. So don't do what I did. Don't wait 2 decades and get some horrific, debilitating disease before you finally say, fuck it, I need to just be myself, because it's not worth it. You could have been happy for those 2 decades instead of struggling like I did. So don't do that. Don't, please. Live better than I did. Live better than me. Know yourself instead of worrying about what everyone is going to think of you. Just get to know what it is that you want. You need to be clear on that before you can actually be a good friend, And the second thing is, if you're afraid of what everyone's thinking, you're not going to open up. You're not going to be vulnerable. You are not going to have a lasting relationship. You're just not. There's no way around it, So I think it really drives me nuts when I see people saying, oh, I don't know why I have no friends. Like, maybe because you're not being a good friend. You're not doing what you need to do to be a friend. It takes a tremendous amount of openness and vulnerability and reaching out. If you want to have friends, then go get them. They're not going to go and knock on your door and say, hey, be my friend. Not everyone's going to be like me. you have to go out there and do that. I'm like a 5-year-old. I will go and use the basic playground line, do you want to be friends? I remember walking up to this Swedish girl named Katrina Walsh. I know I said Swedish. She's Irish and Swedish, clearly. And I remember walking up to her on the playground in, I think, 5th grade and saying to her, I'm Sophia, what's your name? And she told me, and I said, do you want to be friends? We remained friends throughout high. We weren't super close, but sleepovers, birthday parties, when I had a crush on my high school sweetheart, she was the one that I pulled into the library for us to peek over the stacks and gape at him, And it all was because at age 10, I went up to her and I asked her if she wanted to be friends. And I have been doing that since. 10 years after that, I did it again, or 15 years rather. I remember at 25, girl on the bus, really liked her. She was at this show that I had just seen. She was the usher, and I went up to her and I said, do you want to be friends? And then 15 more years later, I just did it. What is it, 5 days ago? I said, if you'd like to be real friends, I would love it. And boom, phone call, here we go. We're going to be friends now. That's it. There really is no way around it. There's no secret. There's no bemoaning and sitting here going, oh, why is it so hard? It's hard because you're not getting off your ass and you're not asking people to be your friends. It's so rare that somebody will say no. Like if you called me right now and said, Sophia, do you want to be my friend? I'll be like, fuck yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. So, part of me is like, great, now I'm going to have a ton of people asking, but no, I'm not. 0 people are going to ask because I know you guys, I know your generation. Okay. You guys are this way because we, the oldest of the millennials, were this way. It is our fault. Yeah. But you know what? We take responsibility for it. And that is what you need to do. So here's to being friends. And, if you want to be friends, you know who to go to. I just want to thank you so much for listening to the Sophia Chang Show, whether this is your first episode, which is a fantastic episode to start on, by the way, or you've been listening since day 1 in 2018. Without you, I would just be speaking into an empty room, which is really weird. You can help me out by passing this on to your friends, leaving a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen. I'm all over the place. I just want to thank you for listening.